Smoke filled the air. The battlefield was quiet now, but not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that came after something terrible. Burned ships, broken machines, and pieces of armor lay scattered across the gray ground. The war had ended here, but not for the lone human soldier walking through the ruins. His name was Cole. His uniform was torn and his boots were covered in dust, but he kept going. He was searching for survivors. Not all enemies were machines or soldiers. Sometimes survivors hid because they were scared, injured, or alone. Cole stepped over a cracked metal wall and froze. There, lying among twisted steel and shattered glass, was someone. An alien woman. She was motionless. Her skin was a pale, soft blue and her body looked badly hurt. Pieces of rubble pinned part of her leg. Her eyes were closed and she wasn't moving. Cole's hand reached for his weapon out. Of instinct, but he didn't fire. She wasn't a threat. He slowly walked closer. "She's still breathing," Cole whispered. He knelt beside her, brushing away dirt and ash from her face. Her features were delicate, her short hair matted with dust. She didn't look like a fighter. She looked calm, like she had given up. Something inside Cole hesitated. He should report her, maybe even leave her there, but something about her face, it felt familiar. He didn't know why. He had never seen her before. Or had he? He checked her pulse. It was weak, but still there. "Come on," he muttered, trying to lift the debris off her gently. "You're not dying here." Still no response. Then, without thinking, he leaned close and said softly, "My name is Cole." Suddenly, the alien woman's eyes snapped open. Before he could react, she pushed herself up with surprising strength. Her hands gripped the edge of a broken panel and she leapt back, breathing hard. Her eyes locked onto his like she was trying to understand something. Her body was shaking. Not from fear, but shock. Cole stood still, his hands open to show he meant no harm. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said calmly. "You were trapped. I was helping." But the alien woman didn't answer right away. She stared at him like she had seen a ghost. "You said your name is Cole?" she asked in a strange accent. "Yes," he replied. She took a step forward, wobbling slightly. "I know that name," she whispered. I remember it." Cole blinked in confusion. "You remember me?" "I don't know," she said, holding her head. "But that name, it pulled me back." He watched her closely. She wasn't acting like an enemy. She seemed lost, confused, and somehow connected to him. "How do you know me?" Cole asked. She shook her head slowly. "I don't know yet." Around them, the wreckage of war stood silent. But something had changed. The woman who lay motionless, just minutes ago now, stood with strength in her voice. And the man who came only to search for survivors had just met someone who wasn't supposed to be alive, or even remembered him. Cole knew one thing now. This was no normal rescue. This was the beginning of something much bigger. The alien woman stood still, her breathing slow but steady. She looked around the ruined battlefield like she was seeing it for the first time. Her body was weak, but her eyes were sharp, watchful. Cole kept a close eye on her, still confused. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She looked at him again, unsure. "Lyra," she said after a moment. "I think my name is Lyra," Cole repeated it quietly. Lyra. The name felt strange on his tongue, yet familiar. He had never met her before. He was sure of it. But something deep in his mind whispered that he had. Lyra sat down slowly on a flat piece of broken metal. She held her head in her hands as if trying to remember something hidden far away. "I don't understand," she whispered. "I shouldn't be here. I remember pain and darkness, then nothing." Cole sat across from her, resting his arms on his knees. "When I said my name, you jumped up. Why?" "I don't know," she answered, eyes wide. "Your name, it unlocked something, a memory." Not a full one, just a feeling. I felt safe. Cole frowned. He had been through many battles, but nothing like this. Lyra's presence made no sense. She was clearly not from Earth, and her kind had been part of the enemy alliance. And yet, she had shown no hatred, only confusion and shock. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, her lips moving slowly. Your name was part of my mission, I think. But everything is blurry. A mission? Cole asked. She nodded. I was part of something, a program. There were others. I remember voices, human voices, machines, lights. We were being trained? No, tested. Tested? Cole leaned in. Where, on Earth? She shook her head. Not Earth. A station. Floating in space. A secret one. Cole's mind began to race. He had heard rumors in the army. Rumors about a project that paired humans and aliens together for peace missions. The program was said to have failed. Disappeared. Shut down without warning. Could Lyra be part of that? Before he could ask more, the ground shook slightly beneath them. Distant humming echoed in the air. Cole's training kicked in immediately. Drones, he said quickly. We have to move now. Lyra stood slowly, still limping. Cole offered his arm. She hesitated, then accepted his help. Together they moved through the shattered buildings and broken streets. The sky was dull, covered in smoke and ash, making it hard to see. But Cole knew the area. He had fought here just days ago. They reached a broken wall and slipped behind it just in time. 2 scout drones passed overhead, scanning the area with red beams. Lyra watched them with a tense expression. They're looking for survivors. Or witnesses, Cole replied. Which means, you're important. Lyra stared at him, eyes filled with questions. Why would I know your name? Why does your voice feel familiar? I don't know, Cole said, watching the drones disappear into the distance. But I'm going to find out. They continued their journey, stepping over broken walkways and piles of rubble. Every step brought more questions. And while the answers were still far away, one thing had become clear to both of them. This was no random meeting. Something in their pasts connected them. And whatever that connection was, someone didn't want it remembered. The air smelled like smoke and melted wires. Cole led Lyra carefully through the broken remains of the city. They stayed low, hiding behind fallen walls and wrecked machines. The scout drones were still flying above. If they were caught, they would not get a second chance. Cole held his pulse rifle close. Lyra leaned on him as they walked, still weak from her injuries. Even with her limp, she moved quietly, like someone trained in stealth. You move like a soldier, Cole whispered. I was trained. For something, Lyra answered. Not war, but not peace either. They reached a collapsed building. Its roof had caved in, but a small space underneath was open. Cole pushed aside a few metal sheets and looked inside. This used to be a command bunker, he said. Might still have power. They crawled inside. The air was thick, but the space was dry and hidden. Cole found a damaged console and tapped the side panel. Sparks flew, and a faint hum followed. A few lights blinked on. Lyra sat down against the wall, breathing heavily. Cole checked a small screen. Power's weak, but I can get a map, maybe even logs. Logs, Lyra asked. Mission reports, recordings. Something that explains what happened here. Cole worked quickly. After a few minutes, a shaky video played. The image was dark, but a few faces appeared, human and alien. The voice in the recording was clear. Project Unity Phase 3, testing neural sync between human soldier Cole Maddox and subject Lyra 7. Cole froze. He stared at the screen, then looked at Lyra. That's you. And me. Lyra's eyes widened. It's real. The video continued. It showed both of them wearing strange headgear connected by glowing wires. The words Memory Link Simulation flashed on the screen. We were part of a project, Cole said slowly. They connected our minds, maybe to help us understand each other better. Lyra's voice was quiet. That's why I remember you. Not from meeting you, but from your memories. Cole sat down, trying to process it all. They must have erased it after the program failed. I never knew. Maybe I wasn't supposed to survive, Lyra said. Something went wrong. They shut it down, but I lived. Suddenly, a sharp beep rang out from the console. Cole jumped to his feet. They're picking up a signal. Someone's scanning this bunker. Lyra struggled to stand. They found us. Cole grabbed her hand. We're not giving up now. He helped her up and led her to a back tunnel that opened into a sewer line. It was narrow but safe. They moved through the darkness, hearing the sounds of drones swarming above the city. As they moved deeper, Cole looked at her. This isn't just about surviving anymore. Someone tried to bury the truth. Lyra nodded. And now the truth is waking up. They reached the end of the tunnel and climbed up through a rusted grate. The city behind them was still burning, but ahead was open land, and the chance to find more answers. Together they stepped into the shadows of the unknown. Whatever had started between them in a lab long ago was not over. It was only beginning. Cole and Lyra moved across the dry fields outside the destroyed city. The sky was dark with smoke, and the sun looked like a red circle behind the clouds. Every step was heavy, but they didn't stop. They found a small cave hidden behind a hill of rocks. It was quiet and cool inside. Cole checked the area, making sure it was safe, then helped Lyra sit down. We'll rest here, he said. Lyra leaned her head back and closed her eyes. My memories are still broken, she whispered, but they're coming back in pieces. Cole sat beside her. What do you remember? She was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke slowly. I remember light, white rooms, voices speaking in 2 languages. I was in a lab. I wasn't alone. You were there. You looked different, clean, calm, focused. Cole listened closely. His heart beat faster. You looked at me through glass, Lyra continued. They said we were part of the same mission. They connected us. I felt your thoughts, your pain, your hopes. Cole nodded. They must have linked our minds to build trust, real trust. Lyra opened her eyes. When you said your name earlier, it unlocked that memory, that moment. I remembered how I felt when I heard it the first time. What did you feel? He asked. Safe, she said simply. Even though we were strangers. Cole was silent. He didn't remember the lab. No flashes of memory, no strange dreams. Nothing. I don't remember any of it, he admitted. But maybe they erased it from me. Made sure I wouldn't ask questions. Lyra looked down at her hands. Why would they do that? Because they didn't want this connection to survive, Cole said. Maybe the project failed because it worked too well. Lyra slowly nodded. Feelings aren't part of war. Maybe they were afraid we'd care about each other. Cole stood and looked out of the cave. The wind carried the sound of distant engines. Maybe more drones, maybe something worse. We can't stay here long, he said. We need shelter. Real shelter. Lyra stood too, her strength returning little by little. There's a place. I think I know where to go. You remember? Not clearly, she said. But I see it in my mind. A safe place. Underground. It had old computers, medical gear. It was part of the Unity program. Cole gave a small smile. That's better than any plan I have. They moved out again, walking through valleys and broken paths. Hours passed. The land grew quiet. Too quiet. Birds were gone. Machines had replaced them. Finally, near the edge of a rocky cliff, Lyra pointed at a broken tower leaning against the rocks. It's under there. Cole followed her to the side of the structure. Hidden behind a wall of vines and metal, there was a hatch. Burned, half melted, but not locked. They pushed it open together and stepped inside. The stairs led down to a forgotten base. Lights flickered weakly. Dust filled the air. But the moment they entered, something beeped softly. A screen turned on. Cole stared at it. The words on the screen were clear. Welcome back, Cole Maddox and Subject Lyra 7. Memory restoration protocol in progress. They looked at each other. This place wasn't just a safe house. It was the beginning of everything, and now the truth was finally waking up. The old base was quiet but not dead. Lights flickered softly on the walls, and the machines hummed like they were just waking up after a long sleep. Cole looked around carefully. Everything inside looked untouched for years, yet the system still knew his name. Lyra walked beside him, her fingers brushing along the dusty consoles. I've been here before, she said. I remember this place. It's where they ran the final tests. Cole tapped on one of the control panels. It responded slowly, and new files appeared on the screen. Video logs, reports, and neural scans from the Unity project. He clicked on a file titled Subject Link, Final Trial. A recording started. It showed Cole and Lyra inside two different pods. Wires were connected to their heads. A voice in the video said, Begin memory merge. The video continued, showing Lyra reacting with surprise, then calm. She was smiling. On the other side, Cole looked serious, but his eyes were soft. The screen showed brain activity, both human and alien waves sinking slowly. This is real, Cole said. They joined our minds. Lyra placed a hand on her chest. That's why I feel what you feel, even now, Cole nodded. It explains why I trusted you from the beginning. Something in me already knew you. They sat down together, the soft lights reflecting in their eyes. Lyra looked at him carefully. You're different from the others. How so? Cole asked. You care, she replied. Most soldiers fight to win. You fight to protect. Cole looked away for a moment. War changes people. But I didn't join the army to destroy. I joined to help. I thought maybe I could make a difference. Lyra smiled slightly. You did. There was a silence between them, not cold, but warm, comfortable. The strange feeling that they were never truly strangers began to grow stronger. Lyra touched her arm. I feel stronger now. I think the connection is helping me heal. Cole glanced at a nearby medical scanner. You were probably given enhancements for faster recovery. Maybe part of the project. As he scanned her vitals, the machine beeped softly. You're stable now, he said. But we still need to move soon. The drones might track our signal. Before they could stand, another file popped up on the screen. Termination order. Unity subjects. Cole opened it. What he saw made his blood freeze. It was a shutdown notice. The project was labeled as dangerous. Both human and alien subjects were marked as too emotionally connected and unfit for future military use. Lyra read the file too. Her hands clenched. They tried to erase us. Not because we failed, but because we succeeded. Cole stared at the screen. They were afraid that a real connection between species might stop the war. Lyra looked at him. And now we're both targets. We'll have to run, but first we copy all the files. We need the truth. They worked together quickly, downloading every log, every video, every note onto a portable drive. Cole slipped it into his jacket. As they prepared to leave, Lyra paused. Cole. He turned. She looked into his eyes. Whatever happens next? I'm glad I remembered you, he smiled. Me too. With that, they climbed out of the base and into the dying light of the day. Ahead of them was danger, but also hope, because now they carried the truth. And the truth was powerful. The wind howled across the hills as Cole and Lyra moved away from the secret base. The sky above was still dark with smoke. They followed a quiet trail through broken rocks and dead grass, keeping their heads low. Behind them, the past was now stored in a small memory drive. Ahead, the future waited, uncertain but worth fighting for. We can head north, Cole said, looking at a small map on his device. There's an old supply outpost. It might have food, weapons, and a working radio. Lyra nodded. Her strength had returned and her eyes were clear. She walked with more confidence now, but before they could take another step, they heard the sound. A low hum. Then, a louder one. Cole's heart sank. They found us. Above, a swarm of scout drones flew into view. Red lights blinked as they circled the sky like vultures. Moments later, drop pods began falling, slamming into the ground with heavy thuds. From the smoke came armored machines, tall and cold, scanning the area with glowing lenses. Lyra pulled Cole behind a large rock. "We have to run," she whispered. "No," Cole replied. "They're not here just to capture. They're here to erase everything." He opened his bag and checked the small explosives he had taken from the bunker. "We make a stand here. If we run, they'll follow us. If we fight, we can at least stop them from getting the truth." Lyra looked at him. "Then we fight." They worked fast, setting traps in the narrow valley, placing charges along the rocks, and taking position behind cover. Cole handed Lyra a small blaster. She checked the weapon like it was a part of her. It felt right in her hands. The machines moved in slowly. Cole fired the first shot. One drone exploded in the air, spinning down in flames. The battle had begun. Lyra moved beside him, firing with speed and grace. She remembered everything now. How to fight, how to move, how to survive. Her training was back. Her instincts were sharp. Explosions rocked the valley as their traps went off. Smoke and fire filled the air. Metal flew in every direction. But the enemy kept coming. Cole ducked behind a wall. His ammo was low. "Lyra, left side!" She turned and fired, knocking two machines off their feet. But one got close, too close. It raised a weapon and aimed at Cole. Lyra didn't hesitate. Jumped in front of him and took the blast on her arm, letting out a sharp cry of pain. Cole pulled her down, checking the wound. "You okay?" "I've felt worse," she said through clenched teeth, "and don't stop now." They stood together, back to back, fighting through the smoke. More enemy units arrived, but something changed. A loud sound roared above, a human ship flying fast and low. It fired at the machines, scattering them. Cole stared in shock. "Reinforcements?" A voice crackled through his radio. "Unit Maddox, we received a signal. Who's with you?" Cole smiled and looked at Lyra. "An old friend, and a key to the truth." The remaining enemy forces fell back, retreating into the smoke. The battle was over. Cole helped Lyra to her feet, and they watched the enemy disappear into the hills. She looked at him and said, "They'll come again." "I know," Cole replied. "But next time, we won't be alone." Together, they walked toward the incoming ship, carrying the truth and a bond no one could erase. The human ship landed gently in the valley. Its doors opened slowly, releasing fresh, cool air into the dusty battlefield. Cole and Lyra walked towards it, tired but determined. They carried the truth, and now, others would see it too. From the ship, human soldiers came out, weapons lowered but eyes alert. Their commander, Captain Reyes, stepped forward, looking at Cole with a puzzled face. "Cole Maddox?" Reyes asked. "You were marked missing. Who's with you?" Cole stood straight, keeping Lyra close. "She's from the Unity Project. Her name is Lyra, and she saved my life." Reyes glanced at Lyra, eyes narrowing slightly. "Unity Project? That's classified." Cole held up the small memory drive. "Not anymore, we have proof. Videos, records, everything. They tried to erase her. And they tried to erase my memory too." Reyes looked uncertain. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Cole, those orders came from high up. You're stepping into dangerous territory." Cole nodded. "I know. But it's the truth, and people deserve to hear it." Lyra stood firm beside Cole, meeting Reyes's gaze. "Your people and mine deserve peace. We were meant to bridge our worlds. That's why they were afraid." Reyes took a long breath, thinking hard. Then finally he nodded. "Okay, get inside. We'll sort this out at the base." Cole and Lyra climbed aboard the ship. The doors closed behind them, sealing away the war-torn land. They were safe for now, but the hardest part was still ahead. Inside the ship, soldiers watched them quietly, curious but cautious. Cole felt their stares but didn't back down. Lyra stood strong beside him, her presence comforting. Soon they arrived at a large space station orbiting above the planet. Inside, officials waited for them, serious faces, suspicious eyes. They entered a brightly lit room. Screens showed their faces, recordings from their past mission and data scrolling endlessly. An older man stepped forward, General Harris. He was the head of special operations responsible for all secret missions. Soldier Maddox, Harris said firmly. This alien, Lyra, is dangerous. Why bring her here? Cole spoke clearly. Because she's not dangerous. She's proof that peace is possible. Our minds were linked, General. We felt each other's thoughts, understood each other's hearts. It was working, and that scared you. Harris paused, then sighed deeply. The project risked our security. It made soldiers soft, weak. No, Cole argued calmly. It made us strong. It gave us hope. Something worth fighting for. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. Your fear is what weakens you, General. We're proof that humans and aliens can find common ground. Imagine what we could do together. Silence filled the room. Then Harris nodded slowly. Show me your proof. Cole handed over the memory drive. Technicians plugged it in, displaying everything on large screens, videos of their tests, memories, everything the Unity project tried to hide. Faces around the room softened. Soldiers and officers alike watched quietly, finally understanding. After the videos ended, Harris looked thoughtful. You took a huge risk bringing this here. Yes, sir, Cole answered firmly. But the truth is worth any risk. Harris turned to Lyra. Will your people listen too? Lyra smiled gently. I believe they will, if they know peace is real. Harris nodded slowly. Then maybe it's time we start believing too. Cole and Lyra glanced at each other, relief and hope shining in their eyes. Outside, through the wide windows, the dark planet glowed softly, promising new beginnings. Their fight was not over, but now humans and aliens had something new. Hope. Cole reached for Lyra's hand. She took it gently, holding tight. Together they had uncovered a buried truth. And now together they would build a new future from it. They had fought through shadows and fire. Now, at last, it was time for peace to rise from the ashes.